the assessment. Assessments are really nice and easy to make within Schoology, so we're going to click on one right here. Looks just the same as we are going, it's exactly the same as we are kind of creating an assignment or anything like that. So we get to determine the scale, any options, and all of those things right here. I do already have one made, so I'm going to cancel this because it's very similar to the process of making an assignment. And we're actually going to go into the assessment itself. So the assessment right here is actually due coming up, or we're going to take it, but it's also in my lessons, I believe, as well. Here's my sample assessment. So I'm going to come into the assessment. Now, within the left side from left to right, we have our setup. We can go into instructions on the assessment. We can decide if there's a time limit and just really all the things that we want. Can they eliminate answer choices, yes or no, things like that. Can they flag questions for review? All of those things and what tools they get, scientific calculator, a ruler, anything like that. Questions right here, we can actually create and add any questions we want. There's a ton of different types of questions that we have, multiple choice, true, false, matching, ordering, tons of them going on. There's 18 different kind of technology enhanced questions. 15 of them actually grade themselves for you, so you don't have to come in and make sure that it's graded already. So we create all the questions, how many points they're worth and all of that. And then when we come into the grading, we'll actually be able to see all of the information and how our students are doing. And as they're answering them, as the students are submitting this assessment, even if it's from home, maybe it be time-based or whatever it may be, you can see how many students are getting correct average scores and things like that on here. The other part that I really like is you can live proctor this as it's going. So you can see if a student has started, what current item they're on, their progress, how much time they've spent, and if they flagged any items. This is even good for when you're back in class walking around the classroom. Again, mobile friendly allows you to be mobile in the classroom with a tablet or your phone, but still keeping an eye on how students are doing in the classroom or on the test right there without having to actually go in and look at their devices or anything like that. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at all of the different kind of questions we have here. What I'm going to do is go into my preview, and we're going to look at some of the questions on what a sample test might look like. So this is a preview, so we're going to work, kind of go quickly through this, but all the different types of questions we have. So this one right here, we're going to highlight a sentence. So I can give them a full paragraph and tell them to highlight a sentence that showcases an example of something I want them to do. So they actually can mouse over each sentence and be able to say, okay, that's the one I'm selecting, and then they move to next. In here, we want to keep kids engaged with assessments. I know, and as well as you probably do, growing up, we always had the fill in the bubble tests. Every test was a multiple choice, 1 through 4, A, B, C, D. They were over and over. It was very monotonous and boring, and it was very hard as a student, I know as well, at least for me, to really keep focused and concentrated on the kind of questions and the content that I was being asked to be tested on. So within this really gives you kind of the idea of a teacher can create a very unique test and say, okay, this is, you know, where we're going into here, and all of these things as we're going through, we can actually drag and drop. We have the ability to actually have highlighted pictures, so you can put a picture here, actually give a sentence in another language and ask them to describe or click what items were described in that sentence. There's a lot of different ways that you can really kind of reinvent that test and redo the test to make it, keep it interactive and make it fun for the students while still showcasing exactly what they know. So drag and drop on timetables, things like that, order and classify, all of these things right here we're going to be able to kind of do and go through. And this one, probably one of our favorite, is kind of what I would call a little bit of a hack on here. So what this does is we have the ability to actually upload a picture to a question and then let the students either highlight over it or draw over it. What we've done here is actually just uploaded a picture of a piece of paper and given them an equation, asking them to show their work. The student can then use the highlight feature to start going through and highlighting or drawing out their work. Now, again, this is much easier with a, you know, a stylus or touch screen or anything like that, but you can definitely do it with a mouse as well. So you can see here, I just need to practice a little more. But as we go through, you'll be able to get to see line by line what the students' thought process was and showing their work in math, which was historically hard to be able to show on an online quiz or test. Math problems just didn't have, you know, scratch paper on the side or anything like that, and it was really hard to type a lot of the information out because you have to follow a certain order for the computer to think that it was correct. All of these questions really are here to make sure that the students are staying engaged, but at the same time, we're actually quizzing them on what we want them to know or figure out or anything like that. We can come in here and actually draw, you know, some parabolas, things like that, kind of graph these functions as we're going through this. And within here, we also have all those tools available to the students. So protractor, ruler, calculator, all of those things are going to be right here, and they can move and manipulate them on the screen as needed for that test as they go through here. Another thing with math that was historically hard is being able to do fractions and exponents and things like that. We have the ability to do all of those things right in here. So within the answer itself in the calculator, we have algebra, we have trigonometry, geometry on there, matrices, chemistry, all the way down to calculus as well. So you can see we get, even with chemistry, you have all of the different kind of symbols and things that you'll need to be able to create the correct question and the students to give their answer. So we can get very technical and very high end with those answers here. Once we've actually gotten those answers and we got them here, there's only 3 of them that need to be graded by you. The first 3, or the 3 are going to be the math short answer, the short answer or essay that they free write, as well as that highlight image that we saw. So with that, we're going to take a look at that highlight image and what it looks like to see an answer that a student's written out. This one's really cool, and why we call it a hack, because we actually get to watch the student draw it out live. So we can actually watch the order of operations that they're going through, their thought process, and where they may have made a mistake if they did. So if there was a mistake made, I can find exactly where it was and be able to correct that thought process that a student had, rather than hoping that if I go over this type of question again, maybe it wasn't the same question, maybe it was just a negative or one little thing that threw them off, but they still understand it. They don't have to try and figure out what they got wrong completely. We can find it right away. And if you ever want to come down to any of the other students and watch that, you can easily just click replay and it will replay that for you as well as a teacher being able to do this. Again, you can do this for anything that you want to. If you're uploading a picture and they're drawing over it, it doesn't just have to be math. That's just where we use this right here. Going back to that, I can see the full question or go back to my questions, but the rest of these questions right here are all graded automatically.